Parents of bullies, when did you realize your child was a bully and how did you react? I was the victim until I paid older kids and snacks to beat up the people bullying me. I made sure they knew I had caused their injuries. You see, the snack transaction was a one-time thing, but the bullies thought the older kids that beat them up were my mates. And I kept that lie alive. Less than 3 quid to take out a hit on my tormentors. Worth it. I was a bully in middle school, and I can tell you that you won't get many good answers. People like me get that way because nobody is paying any attention. If nobody makes you feel good, you do it yourself. And children aren't mature enough to do that properly, so they try to steal happiness from others. They'll put you down to feel good. That's why bullies break down if you beat them just once. Their hand has slipped from the last string of control they had. It's not pleasant for anyone, and the longer it goes on, the more irreparable the damage becomes. TLDR. Pay attention to your kids and show them the way of kindness by example. I've seen a lot of people talking about bullying as a result of being bullied and various other things. I just wanted to say that even though I came off this way, I didn't mean to generalize all bullying. This is my experience and I tell it because it hurts me to see people end up like me, and I refuse to run away from my past. I totally understand that there's multiple types of bullies, and I've actually learned a lot about the cycles of violence that aggressive bullying can form from this thread. Definitely don't mean to put down anyone's experiences. Cheers. I want to make it clear that I didn't do this on my own. There's a really good man out there named Jordan Peterson who makes some of the best content I've ever been privileged to hear. Truly like a father figure to me, and I've never even met him. If anyone is looking to change for the better, I cannot recommend enough that you check him out on YouTube. Without him, I really don't think I would have turned my life around. At least not for a long time. From someone who was a victim of a lot of bullying. Thanks for writing this. It's not something I didn't already know, but interesting to hear it from that perspective. Hope you're doing alright. Not a parent, nor a sister, but we take care of our girl relative as often as we can. She has her own family. We're just close. She's 8 now and started bullying when she started school because she thinks she's dominant. Underlying reasons are mainly rooted in the household and environment. How she's being treated, mostly by adults. How people react to her actions. How she's being reprimanded. Methods. And how often she's disciplined. Who she's surrounded by, etc. Still hard to fix right now, but best method. Keep calm and explain to the child. Cause effect. Consequences. The feelings and situation of the victim, etc. Remember that you're dealing with a kid. Don't just scold them and expect them to see at your level of maturity and understanding. Explain. Talk it out. Their stubbornness will get in the way, but stay firm and ease your way into their trust and comfort. Child psychology. Learn it. She's not intentionally bad. Just that her jokes come off as sarcasm at such a young age, to the point of insult sometimes. We found out from her teachers and classmates. Problem. Her household doesn't see this as an issue to address and actually celebrates her cleverness. But even when they do, their way of discipline obviously apparently doesn't work. Any reasonable method of discipline will work as long as it's consistent. What they're doing isn't working because they're not being consistent. Not a parent, but I lived next door to my younger sister's bully. We were constantly going over there to tell the mother, hey, your kid hit my sister today, or hey, your kid bit my sister, and the girls were about 9/10, so she knew better. The mother denied that her precious sperm pet could do anything like that. A few days later, the mother and the kid were at school and I was dropping my sister off. The bully girl walked up to a random younger kid and sucker punched her in the face. About 20 other adults saw. Instead of disciplining her kid, she started yelling at the kid she punched, calling this poor It was a real eye-opener that the kids probably pick up their absurd behavior from somewhere. As it turns out, the mother was a complete psycho and regularly lost and gained custody of her kids because of her behavior. She goes through boyfriends like they're going out of fashion, hit one of them around the head with a rolling pin and cause crap wherever they go. The definition of a Karen. And upon knowing who the mother's parents are, it's a family thing for sure. Frick, that's awful. I hope the girl finds a better home or she's probably going to be just as messed up as her mum. Some people just shouldn't have the right to have kids. There should be a mandatory psychology test or something. My parents thought I was a bully. I bit a kid in preschool cause he had a huge brown freckle on his arm. Him talking 1.5 inch, 38 diameter large. Parents took me to the kid's house to apologize and help the other parents know why I did it. Literally told them I thought it was a brownie and I literally thought it was. So I wasn't truly a bully but more of a complete moron, but for a few days 2 sets of parents believed I was the Antichrist at 4 years old. At that age it can be put down to brain development. If you carried on and expanded on that behavior past the age of 4/5 with no remorse, understanding or empathy, then it would be bullying. Especially if you would have been capable of learning from your actions but choosing not to. Obviously the line is more blurry if it's a child with learning disabilities and challenging behaviors. I was acquainted with a bully early on in elementary school, the way too aggressive type. I remember my other friends and I incidentally had similar stories of the bully trying to drown us in the local pool. He would punch kids all the time for no reason, and was extremely defensive and mentally weak, even for an 8-year-old. Despite it all, his parents were very nice, but spoiled him a fair amount. One day, on the first day of school that year, he was gone and nobody knew what happened. We assumed he moved away until 6 years later. My friends and I were all playing soccer at the park across from the bully's house when suddenly we all spotted the bully atop his backyard play structure, fighting a younger man with a toy lightsaber. We all then came to the consensus that he had been sheltered for the past 6 years and most likely never left the house, which I guess is one way to deal with a bully. Many parents of bullies would not answer. Many support it because they think their children and family are simply better than everyone else, and they teach their kids to think that too. Not a parent yet, but I took a dip into bullying for a bit. For the most part, I was the one everyone picked on, for no real reason other than I behaved differently than pretty much everyone else. I was near the bottom of the totem pole, but they considered one lower than me, a rather plump kid by the name of Matt. I saw the other kids bullying him and making fun of him. I was feeling bitter that day and said something about him when his back was turned. The popular kids loved it. For a week or two, I continued seeking this praise, the praise of being an butthole. I don't remember the exact turning point, but one day I reflected upon myself. I thought, what am I doing? Eventually, I started seeking amends with him. He was very forgiving once I apologized, and we even became friends for the next few years. We ended up going to different high schools, but we even ran into each other when I went to a choir contest his school was hosting. We talked for hours. I'm glad I stopped when I did, because at the end of the day, an oversized belly is worlds better than an oversized ego any day. TLDR, was a bully to a kid to win approval, but changed attitudes and became friends with him instead. I am a parent but of only a 4-year-old. But I was a huge bully in high school and I'm such an idiot it never even dawned on me until I was like maybe 21-22. I did horrible stuff just for laughs, but I made it a priority to personally apologize to everyone formally and in person since then. It's one of my highest priorities as a father to ensure my son embraces everyone as a friend when he gets older. My dad thought I was a bully once because another parent called our house and told him. This was in the time when there were school directories they gave out. Her kid thought I knocked over a tray of food he was holding while waiting for the bus, when in reality there was some roughhousing going on behind us. I got knocked into the kid, causing him to drop the tray. I tried to help him pick it up and explain, but he was inconsolable and didn't really get it. Later that afternoon I got the beating of a lifetime and had to make the kid 2 trays of the food that was knocked over. We went and gave the food and apologized, but Ole Pops didn't find my apology satisfactory, so we repeated the process of the beatdown and food making. I distinctly remember the look of pity in the mom's eye and her regret for making that call as I lied to her about how sorry I was about something I didn't do. Anyway, it's likely nobody will read this since I'm late to the party, but that was one of the events that really strained my father and his relationship. I know it's something he'll regret till the day he dies. He has even said as much. It was just one thing in the heap for us now. Had to move away and let the subconscious process it for a few years before I went back and sorted it all out with my family. We're all good now, but as they say, there's no making up for lost time. I read it. I was glad to hear you guys sorted it all out in the long run. My parents realized my youngest sister was a bully when she was like 6 and now she's 16 and they still haven't done anything about it. Not so much bullying, but being abrasive in online gaming chats. With everything locked down, I've been very happily able to spend more time with both of my sons. My youngest, 15, is very competitive when it comes to online gaming, currently Rocket League, but it's been Fortnite etc in the past. So I'm at my desk and he's at his and I hear some fairly toxic stuff that he's saying to teammates one night. I told him game time was over, shut it down. Proceeded to have a front porch talk about what being a good teammate is all about and how supporting the team was always a better idea than dragging people down or making them ashamed. He was pretty responsive, logged back into Discord and apologized to the guys gals he'd been teamed with, and we haven't had an incident since then. I'm very proud of him, if you can't tell. You have taught him well. Good stuff. I was a bully in middle school and high school and was bullied as well. I never saw myself as a bully because I was constantly picked on and made fun of and didn't realize how many people's feelings I was hurting. It honestly took a trip to the office freshman year for me to come face to face with the fact that I was making other people feel bad about themselves. My mom sat me down and reminded me of my insecurities and how I used to come home and cry. She told me if I wanted to make other people hate me like I hated my bullies, then I should keep on doing what I'm doing. She also whooped me. I made reparations and try to be better than I am. I have a tough mom. With regards to the trope that bullies are that way because they have low self-esteem, have been bullied themselves, etc., I'm in no way discounting people's lived experiences. Research debunks this pretty thoroughly. Most bullies aren't sad, they don't have low self-esteem, and they aren't victims. They have very high self-esteem, feel powerful, and use that power against others. Bullies bully because it's easy, they like it, and it works. I'm a bullied kid, almost 20 at the time of writing this. You are very right about the kind of person a bully actually is. But I also would like to add that the home situation plays a factor. My bully came from a single father and, from what I've heard, his home situation wasn't the best. Not a parent of a bully but a victim of bullying in early high school years. I was friends with some of the bully's family, smallish town, and they all were as confused as I was as to why this kid picked on me the way he did. He would follow me as I walked home from school and throw crap at me. He would shove me against the walls in the hallway. He tried to shove me inside a locker as all stereotypical 90s high school bullies do. He would spit in my food as he walked by in the lunchroom. Called me terrible derogatory names constantly. I had just got a new, to me, car, and he threw some kid's bike at the hood and scratched it to heck. You get the idea, kids and butthole. One day I had had enough of his balls, and as he was cornering me in the hallway for his daily beatdown, I shoved him off of me with all the strength my 14-year-old scrawny frame could muster. He came back at me with fists ready to go when my favorite teacher walked out of his classroom. They locked eyes. Bully put on his "I'm sorry" eyes and walked away. On my walk home, he blindsided me and cold cocked me on the side of the head. I, somehow, got back up and just started swinging. I got lucky and knocked the snot out of him. He never messed with me again and actually reached out years later to apologize for his actions. My favorite part of this whole story is that while I was at my friend's house, his mom bully's aunt caught wind of it somehow and said she was glad someone finally kicked that little shoot's butt. Come to find out, the bully's parents were divorced, but always around each other and fighting. They neglected him constantly. His dad beat him quite often and he just lived a sad life. So as almost all of these tales recount, normally it's really not the kid's fault. That definitely opened my eyes the rest of my high school college career, and it's something I've been trying to teach my younger family. TLDR. Bully used to frick with me constantly. I somehow knocked him out in a fight. Found out his home life was trash. Don't always blame the kid, sometimes it's the just cards they've been dealt. My son is too young, but I coached a high school wrestling team in my late 20s. One of my wrestlers who came from a wealthy family made fun of an overweight junior varsity kid on another team before the match started. Wrestling takes a ton of confidence, and for a kid who clearly knows he is not in shape to put on a singlet and go out there and compete takes a lot of guts. My wrestler's comments immediately revolted me. I pulled him aside and told him that he just embarrassed me, the team, and himself. I told him that I was ashamed that he represented us and that he would not wrestle for us in a match ever again until he apologizes to the other kid and his parents, who were sitting right there and clearly overheard it because I could see the reactions on their faces. I was a volunteer coach at the time. I was stationed in this town for the Navy. I couldn't really be punished or held accountable by the school, other than being let go. Since I was categorized as a volunteer and not an employee, I basically coached for fun and to keep in shape since I loved the sport. I was known to be the more aggressive, cool coach because of my age. I only mention this because I knew my role in the staff would set an example among the other kids, and this particular wrestler would take it to heart hard. It did. I also knew that the other parents really liked and respected me because I was honest and real with their kids. This was a majority blue collar town and I think they appreciated that. My wrestler apologized immediately. I gave him the cold shoulder for a while afterwards until we had a talk about what it means to be an adult and how to treat others. I appreciate the context you gave that kid, what it means to be an adult and how to treat others. By categorizing his bad behavior as childish, you've taught him more than just how to be considerate to others. That's real leadership. Former or recovering bully here. This is a long one. Sorry. It's weird. I had almost the perfect childhood growing up, so I never saw any of my actions as wrong up until high school. I mean, my parents thought and still think I'm the nicest person on the planet and I deserve the world. Yet, I am the favored child and my brother would insult me and sometimes hit me over it. I started to realize it after I kept losing friend groups. In all of elementary school, I never had friends and I genuinely thought it was because no one liked me, so I did everything I could think of to make people like me, and that was to hurt other kids. Even in middle school, 6th grade, I texted a girl, "You will never get a real boyfriend. You have had more boyfriends than Taylor Swift." I thought it was hilarious, but it caused a crap ton of drama after she sent it to all of her friends, and then I was getting bullied for it and took the victim card and threatened to commit suicide. She freaked and I was in the counselor's office for a whole day talking about my life and how everything led up to this. She laughed at me. So yeah, I did not learn my lesson. I finally got friends a year later and high school came around and lost them once they stopped hanging out with me. Got another friend group and they dropped me when I got depressed one winter and never talked to them. I have a new friend group and we were talking senior year and I slowly came to the realization that I am a horrible person. I've been working on my words and what I say and when. It's so hard because everyone close to me thought I was such a great person. But I'm really trying and I'm hoping I can fix this permanently in college and that I can go back and apologize to those I've hurt over the years. Parents, look into your kids' lives. Could change them for the better. I stay up at night thinking about a lot of things I have done. As someone who was bullied a lot in school, I would say it would make the difference to apologize. It can give a sense of closure and they will think much more highly of you for it. At least I would. I'm now a parent of a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. Two different mothers. I have full custody of both. I'm only 28 and I just had my birthday. Both my kids are straight A students and haven't had anything close to a B for a couple of years. I have to comfort and reassure my daughters when they get a B that it's okay. I say all that to say this. I was definitely a bully. It hurts to admit that. I really only know that BC all my friends from school stopped talking to me BC of how mean I was. They all just stopped talking or replying to me one day. I could tell they planned it. 2 years later I bumped into everyone at a gaming convention. We spent the whole convention together. I paid for everything for everyone. I knew before they said it why they all stopped talking to me. At the end of the convention, in the parking lot, they all told me why they quit talking to me. I was a bully. They were right. That was the last time I talked to any of them. I deleted all social media and went into self-imposed exile. I'm a lot better now and realized my actions had consequences. This might sound stupid, but when you have no parents that guide and teach you, you just don't ever think about consequences BC you never really dealt with them. Being a bully is not cool. You hurt people majorly with actions you think are minor as a bully. A bully is someone who attains their success through robbing another person of their positive emotions, whether through physical or psychological violence. Bullies are high-functioning people who are well aware of when a potential victim is vulnerable. This is why bullies only ever pick the vulnerable. Bullying is a behavioral pattern that is learned from parents. Usually, one parent bullies their partner and the children, while the partner simply accepts what is occurring and allows or encourages it. Bullying continues simply because people don't stand up to them. As anecdotal evidence, when I was about 15, I was bullied by a boy who also was seen as a leading peer, and also bullied others. He attacked me, pushed me against a wall, in a stairwell, and held a razor blade against my throat, close enough to draw blood. I felt threatened enough that I kneed him in the balls, elbowed him in the face and pushed him down the stairs. He cried like a little bee. I got in trouble with the school, but never again was bullied by him, or any other bullies, actually. But still, I'd rather have not experienced 5 or 6 years of being bullied. Man, this brings back bitter memories of fighting with my brothers when we were younger that make me feel really guilty and sad. When I was a kid, I was prone to anger, and I took it out on my younger brothers a couple times that really stand out in my head. We all have great relationships with one another now, but sometimes I get hit by a vivid memory of making one of them cry, and it really hurts to think about. I actually brought it up with them one of the times it was bothering me, and they forgave me and said they didn't really remember, so at least there's that, but I wish I could forget. One of my friends is dealing with this right now with her 6-7-year-old who is also on the spectrum. She's got her kid hooked on someone called Jojo Siwa, who has a lot of anti-bullying stuff. A lot of the bullying came from her school environment, and she must have decided better you than me, and took the initiative. So her mom is homeschooling until her daughter's social skills are more sympathetic and in tune with her age group. My older brother was a bully to us. Every time we would tell our mom, she would scold us for being tattletales and there would be zero consequences. Then he grew up to become a homeless, jobless addict who abused every girlfriend he had, and my parents were raising his daughter. My mom likes to romanticize our childhood, and every time we bring up the fact that he has always been a crappy person, she is like, "Well, why didn't you tell me? I could have done something if I only knew." If your kid's a bully, it's usually because you're a crappy parent, and crappy parents don't take responsibility or care. I am not sure all parents recognize or even care if their kid is a bully. My friend's kid is a terrible bully. We can no longer have them over to our house or have play dates at all. This kid verbally and physically abuses other kids all the time, and the parents take no action. On 2 occasions she was caught in the act of punching my kid at a play date for no reason. As soon as the parents began to discipline her, she started to cry. That's when things got weird. They started comforting her as if she was the one who got hurt, and then they started apologizing to her and asking her if she needed some space. She was not disciplined in any way, nor was she asked to apologize for her behavior. Quite the opposite, she was treated like a victim. They told me they are practicing kind discipline. Basically, there are no consequences for this kid. I have 3 kids and heck would freeze before I handled them misbehaving that way. The only bully I ever had was being beat and yelled at by their parents all the time, and we all knew it, so we all just felt bad for them, as they were bullying us. It was a weird situation. They got out of their house and everyone involved pretty much became friends again. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye.